I am so grateful for that mountain of debt because I now love myself and have so much more compassion. And it was through the debt that I actually had to do the work. So, humans pay attention when they're in pain. And that's, whether it's me posting content on Instagram or whether it's a mountain of debt that you're trying to tackle, the idea here is your relationship with yourself and your relationship with actually.
Welcome back to the Artful Dollar. My name is Ryan Roy. And I have one of my best friends, and now someone has joined the Artful Dollar coaching team, my good friend Nadine. She is the person I call when I am having money stress. I have money stress, by the way. I'm not absolved of that. And just in general, if I have life stress or big feelings happening. She's the person I call, and she is helping support our clients around their internal systems and external systems around money. But we wanted to share a little bit of the work that we do because it is so wildly valuable. And honestly, I was saying this today in our class, the more I dive into my money journey in general, the more I am convinced 1,000% that your ability to hold money, abundance, a feeling of safety, a foundation, your ability to hold that and sustain that in your life is 1,000% to do with your nervous system programming there. We said it once. We made a joke. We were like, how many times we're going to say the word nervous system in this episode? So it's a drinking game. Get your pitcher of water or iced tea and get your shot glass, kombucha, and take a shot every time you hear us say the word nervous system. There you go. 2 right there.
And I didn't even say it yet. That's my favorite word.
So, welcome back. We've done like 2 or 3 episodes before, right?
We have, yeah.
Yeah. And Nadine also has a podcast. What is the podcast?
Unfuck Your Money.
The Go Fuck Yourself podcast?
Yeah. Go fuck yourself. No, it's called Unfuck Your Money.
Unfuck Your Money podcast, which you should definitely check out. Thanks for coming back and hanging out.
Thanks for having me again. Hey everyone, I'm Nadine Zumot. I am part of the Artful Dollar team, which is so good. I love it. The coaching program is growing and I'm so happy to be part of it. I mean, it's been a long time coming, huh, Ryan?
Did you see the in Circle? Did you see the guy that shared the other day?
Which one? There's many people that share.
I know. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen real quick. It's in here. So we've been doing money coaching. I've been money coaching since, I don't know, even before I was doing it. I was doing it for fun with my tattoo clients. Literally, no joke. Mm-hmm. My tattoo clients would come book an appointment and they'd be like, yo, I can't wait for the next time we're going to like talk about money and stuff like that. But it's actually
a nice treat for people to be able to talk about money without like just having a safe person to talk about money to, regardless of how official or professional you are. So I'd imagine as a tattoo client, just being able to freely talk about money would be very liberating and surprising.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was like the best blend. And your tattoo clients, they don't just come to you for the tattoo. As much as you might think that's the case, they come to you for you. They come to you to talk about flat Earth or Lord of the Rings or whatever weird
or
niche, nuanced topics or money. And so I noticed I was getting a lot more of that. But this guy, Connor Flatterly, God bless this man's soul, he came to us 2 years ago. He had $26,000 of debt. And he was able to pay it off using the waterfall money system. And he shared about that. Yeah. And I just love hearing from people people that I worked with so long ago. So had to share that win. If it's possible for that knucklehead and this knucklehead and this knucklehead on the thing with me, it is absolutely possible for anyone out there to have peace around your finances. And so let's get into, we're going to talk about we're going to introduce people to a term that they might not have heard of, money parts or parts in general. Do you want to talk about that a little bit for anyone that doesn't know what parts work is? I'm somewhat familiar with it, but you're a lot more knowledgeable than I am.
Sure. So I'll just start with how I started into it. So I've always worked in finance, always, always, always. I don't know how I find myself always working in finance. And I've always been like the person people go to for money questions, my colleagues at work and blah, blah, blah. So I have, you call it the waterfall system. I've been using it for over 20 years. And I just thought, I got it, that's it. I've nailed it. I've nailed money. But as a year into like full-time coaching clients, I started noticing with myself also, because my income really changed. My income became variable. It no longer was like a fixed income from a W-2.
Yeah.
And also not only was it variable, but it was also more. And I've noticed also with clients that came with huge amount of debt that just doing the basic or foundational money work wasn't cutting it. So for me personally, I had to go way deeper, and I started just playing around with inner child work. And then I started researching. I have a 1 in human design, so I'm like the biggest researcher, biggest nerd. So I started researching, and I stumbled upon something called internal family systems, which is, what we call parts work. And it was really eye-opening to start looking at my own patterns and my clients' patterns to see that they know what they need to be doing. Just like me, I'm a finance professional, whatever. You know what you need to be doing, but somehow you're not doing what you should be doing. And it all boiled down to...
Can anyone else relate to that? Can anyone else? Like, what you should be doing, but for some reason you're not doing it. I don't know how many people can. There's probably a small niche subset of people out there. No, I'm joking. I think everyone can relate to that.
I mean, I raised my hand, the first person, right? Like right. I'm the first to raise my hand.
Yeah,
and it all just boils down to inner child work and different parts. And parts work is like, it was developed and created actually by a psychologist, a family therapist actually, called Richard Schwartz. I love that man so much. If you can go and like just research him, I love him. He's awesome. So he came up with this system to where in a non-pathological way, we're all made of parts. There's like this multiplicity in all of us. And it's very true. If you look at me, Ryan, like when we're off camera and we're just hanging out, I'm a total goofball, but that goofball does not show up online, right? Like you always tell me, where's that goofball online?
This reminds me a lot. I talk a lot about Carl Jung. Mm-hmm. And
that's where it all started. These archetypes.
That's what I was going to say is archetypes. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's something that I'm actually teaching a lesson on Wednesday on archetypes for your business, where there's certain, like there's the magician, there's the warrior, there's the lover, there's the king or queen or sovereign. Yeah. And they come out in different, right? There's certain areas of your life where you are a magician. You're totally magical and playful, but then all of a sudden you're talking to a cop. You get pulled over to the side of the road. You're no longer a magician. You might be the victim, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
one type of archetype. So there's many different types.
We're all made of different parts, right? Like the goofball does not show up on Instagram for some reason. I'd love her to, but I think the element of safety is the component that's missing. When we're safe with people, that's when our true authentic self comes out. But when it comes to money also, it is the element of safety. So we all have money baggage. I've had clients who have grown up millionaires and they also have money baggage. So
sometimes people with more money have more money baggage, I found.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
Sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their mind around that, but I've talked to many people, multimillionaires, who are almost in more pain and suffering and insanity around money than someone that is making $50K a year.
Yeah, and I've got so much compassion for
And that
everybody.
doesn't mean, absolutely, that doesn't mean that, if you make $1 million, you're fucked. It doesn't mean that. I'm just pointing out that it's like a fire, right? And if your fire is not, it's not the fire you want, it's not good, more money just pours more gasoline on that fire. So we want to stoke a fire that is healthy and good
from the beginning.
Yeah. And then when we pour more gasoline on it and we make more money, there's more fire. It's actually, we feel safe, we feel complete.
So here's the misconception or the myth is that if you have money baggage, more money will solve that baggage. But to your point,
Right.
what happened with me and what happened with my clients as well is what I keep seeing repeatedly is that if you don't have that foundation of safety with money, and most people don't, and I'll get to that in a second. When we don't have that foundation of safety with money is going to call in more dysregulation in your nervous system, which is exactly like that phenomena that we see when people win the lottery and then a year later the money's gone. And that's because
they wish they
we don't
never
have
won
that
the lottery.
capacity. Yeah. And that's because we have not built the capacity. So we all have money baggage, and what happens is that when we're really young, things happen, whether it's related to money or not related to money. Maybe we grew up
directly or indirectly. Yeah,
exactly. So maybe we grew up with a parent that was really, really busy, or emotionally immature parent. So when we encounter situations that are really difficult, when we're really small and we don't have the maturity or the resources or the safety to actually process them, they get internalized as wounds or trauma, if you want to call them that. And that is when our protector parts, these parts, show up. So we've got the inner child that is vulnerable and wounded, but other parts of our personality show up to actually protect that wounded inner child, which is what we call the protector part. So any part of us that we poo-poo because it causes financial sabotage, like the victim you were talking about, or I call it the player, the part of you that just want to spend and fuck it all, like I just want to do whatever. These are all protector parts because something is happening in your environment that is kind of like recalling that old trauma. And usually that is always related to a belief of being unlovable, unworthy, not good enough, not pretty enough, not whatever enough. And when that gets triggered, whether we're, conscious of it or unconscious, that's when these protector parts kind of like jump in. And these protector parts are trying to manage our day-to-day life to where we're not encountering any triggers, or they show up when we are actually triggered. So in IFS, they call these firefighters, and the other parts.
What's IFS?
Internal family systems.
Family systems. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we call these firefighters, and the other ones that manage our day to day they just call them managers. But they're just two types of protector parts.
So I feel like I want to go even slower with this for someone that is, coming into this and be like, okay, but how does this help me with my money?
Yeah.
A tangible example. Okay. Yeah. I think that would be helpful for me and for other people listening. Like a really tangible example,
very
boots on the
tangible
ground.
Example.
What does it look like in your life? I can probably think of some of my own, but if you have any offhand.
Yeah, I have many. So say that you have the desire to save for a house. Okay, you're making good money, you feel really solid, you love where you live, and you're like, okay, it's time to put my roots down, I want to buy a house. But week in, week out, the amount of money that you decided as a goal to save up for the deposit, you're actually spending that on takeout, or you're spending that on little packages that arrive, or like just out.
And I love those little packages when that box shows up. He's like, oh my God, I don't even remember what I bought. So it feels like a surprise. It feels like a present. Yeah.
It does feel good. So that is when we know what we need to be doing, but we're not doing it. That is usually a protector part that comes online. Just like we talked about
today. What is it protecting?
It is protecting a feeling of not good enough, or a feeling of not feeling safe. So,
but isn't it perpetuating the feeling of not good enough?
Yes.
Like if you would just stop protecting me, I could just save for the fucking house.
Here's the thing. Every protector part have good intentions. That's the golden rule. Every protector part has good intentions. Even if the outward behavior or whatever is actually quote unquote sabotaging, we need to see what it's protecting, because there's another part that we all have called the self or self energy, which is that wise part of you, that magician energy of like, I know what to do.
Or something they call it like the sage energy.
Yeah, the sage energy.
The infinitely wise, the part of you that just knows better.
Never dies. Yeah, just like that part of you that's the soul that's connected to infinite, to consciousness. Yeah. And we all have that part. And if we act from that part, whether it's with our relationships, with our finances, with whatever, we will actually nail it. We will nail life. But when that inner child doesn't feel safe, those protector parts actually shield us from our connection to that self energy. And they actually start acting out. And a lot of times these protector parts are actually using money to get our attention.
I feel like my protector is like a firefighter. It's like Homer Simpson as a firefighter. With a hose with gasoline in it. And he's just like hosing. He's like trying to put out the fire and he's just pouring gasoline on it. That's my protector. So apparently 88% of listeners have not left a review or subscribed. And I'm going to get right back to the podcast in just a second. But if you have found this episode helpful and you think that other people would benefit from listening, then all I ask in return is please just leave a quick review and subscribe. It'll take just 1 minute and it might help other tattooers and other artists find this podcast and help them out. So please, it would mean the world to me and it might actually make a difference for someone else. Thanks.
So to bring it more boots on the ground example. So when, you're saving for a house, say that you are the first person in your family to ever be a homeowner. And there's a part of you, like that inner child, that's like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. Or like, am I good enough? Am I good enough to actually understand all the admin and all the ins and outs of like buying a house and getting a mortgage and all that?
Or you go to sit down to get approved for a mortgage, which is kind of an intimidating.
It's really daunting.
You go to
for me, it was.
There's like a lawyer's desk and shit. Like I just bought a house recently and it is intimidating.
It's intimidating. Yeah. So when you imagine yourself doing all that and then there's a part of you that says, I can't do this. That's when that protector part comes on like, oh, fuck it then. And we're just going to buy everything. So that looks like sabotage. But what it's actually happening is that it's protecting you from feeling like you're not good enough. So it's distracting you by buying shit. But what's actually happening on a parts level, on an internal like your internal family level, is that what's happening is that it's protecting that younger part, that very vulnerable part, from ever feeling like it's not good enough. So if we spend all that money...
If you were to succeed at this goal of buying a house, you would inevitably be placed into a situation where you would have to face the fact that you don't feel qualified, good enough, worthy.
And
whatever. So rather than actually be in that position, which is what you need to do to accomplish the goal, you like on a micro or macro scale self-sabotage because it keeps you feeling safe.
Exactly. So me and you talk a lot about my marketing, especially on Instagram. So I would find myself cleaning the windows or like doing the dishes instead of recording a reel. And that is a part of me that is the avoider or the procrastinator part that doesn't want me to feel like a failure, because if I post, there is a chance that it won't do well, meaning it will reinforce the belief that I'm a failure. So that part is going to come online and be like, oh my God, look at those disgusting windows. You should clean the windows. Oh my God, look at that. Oh, the dishes. You need to do the dishes. What if they show? No, it just sounds real. But when we get to the nitty gritty of it, avoider parts, procrastinators, when it comes to looking at our finances or marketing or any money making activity, that is a way your psyche is trying to protect you. Is that tangible?
But you got some clean windows, though.
Well, my windows are like really clean now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. That's a win.
See, they have good intentions.
You don't
have clean windows.
You're not making money, and you're not doing the things you need to do.
Yeah, I've got clean windows, and no one rejected me on Instagram because I never posted. So fuck
honestly,
that part won.
That sounds pretty sweet to me. Honestly, not gonna lie. But we were talking about this, and what was the advice I gave you recently? Because I feel like I saw even the past couple of days you've been sending me content you've been making, and something got removed. What was the advice I gave you?
Do the work.
No, it wasn't that.
Yeah, it was that's what I took.
It was. No, but what I told you to do, I said, go make some bad content.
Oh, yes, you did say that. Yes, and I'm pretty sure I've been making bad content.
and that's something I've told a lot of my clients that I work with and friends and anyone who's at it. I'm like, okay, stop trying to make good content. Yeah. Right? It's probably gonna be bad anyway. And then you're going to beat yourself up because not many people saw it. So you might as well not do it, because then we get to avoid the feeling of not being good enough. So why don't you just make your goal to make some fucking horrible content? That way, when no one likes it, you win, because that was the goal to begin with. And then it gets you out of your own way and into action, because the only way to make good content is to first make bad content.
So what you're just describing, we actually, in a roundabout way, is what we in somatic experiencing call titration. So it's when
That's
we
a big
do
word.
when we
Titration.
do small things, like if you're avoiding something, but you do like a tenth of it, and then you just expand your nervous system's capacity to do the whole thing, but incrementally. But that's another way of doing it, of like, go do bad content. And that actually just lowers the stakes of like, oh yeah, okay. The idea is to have fun. And that just brings up another part of me that's like, okay, we're just going to go have fun and fuck it, you know? So that's a really smart roundabout way, but it's actually scientifically backed. I think so. I personally think so.
It's like when I make my goal the end result that I want, which is make more money, get more clients. If that's my goal, when me taking the action, I may or may not hit that goal. And then I potentially have the opportunity to feel like I'm not enough because I didn't hit the goal. One time I did a seminar, an in-person seminar at a tattoo convention. I've done a lot of these, but one of them I flew out to Tennessee, and one person showed up. I like literally got on a plane, booked a hotel, did all this stuff, and one person showed up. And it was obviously not the expectation I wanted, but you know what? I kept telling myself, I was like, all right, you did. How many other times have I done it with a packed room? Dozens of other times. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them. And so if I just make my goal the action itself, that's why I said do the work. Do the work. The work works on you more than you work on it.
Yeah.
Magic happens in doing the work.
I know for a fact, for my clients, I've had so many people tell me by the end of their journey, I am so grateful for that mountain of debt, because I now love myself and have so much more compassion. And it was through the debt that I actually had to do the work. So, you know, humans pay attention when they're in pain. And that's, you know, whether it's me posting content on Instagram or whether it's a mountain of debt that you're trying to tackle, the idea here is your relationship with yourself and your relationship with actually the word self, which is in the IFS lingo, which is that sage part of you, the part of you that is all knowing. The more we establish this relationship with that self energy, the more life is going to just flow better. But we cannot just like ignore the protector parts, because as I was saying in today's lesson in the morning, like that, those protector parts, the avoider, whoever, they have a lot of precious information that is very valuable for our progression. And the more these parts feel safe, the more we have access to self energy. And we help them feel safe through just by talking to them, by borrowing somebody else's self energy or borrowing somebody else's safety. Because if I don't, you know, if I went through a major trauma, which I have earlier this year, I
like
cannot
a major trauma. Like we can talk about it. And I want to get into some actual things that like anyone listening could do on their own journey.
So I got into a major medical trauma. It was really bad. And I could not feel safe with myself. And I needed to borrow other people's, you know, safe nervous systems to actually help me integrate what happened. And one of them is your lovely wife, Thamai, and of course you, and my therapist and my coach and all that. Like, it had to be. But
I see what you're saying. At first I was like, I kind of know what you meant by borrowing, but now I really get what you're saying by borrowing someone else's
just being
safe
in
nervous
somebody's
system.
Safety.
Because I knew you were going to be okay. I knew, and I even told you, I was like, you're going to look back on this and you're going to say, thank God that happened. Well, and you might not be there yet, but you will.
So I'll just briefly tell people what happened. I was absolutely 100% healthy. I woke up one morning, I was pretty much paralyzed. I couldn't use my hands or my feet, and I couldn't walk. And it went on for a month, and then for another month it started getting incrementally better. But for 2 whole months, no one knew what the hell was wrong with me. I kept going to the ER, I kept going to doctors, and everybody was like, oh, it's maybe from breakdancing. Maybe you did this, maybe you did that. I had so many MRIs. In the end, it was something called post-infection paralysis or Guillain-Barré. And lucky for me, thank God, it's just a transient acute infection, just resolves on its own. Sometimes it can affect the autonomic nervous system actually, and affect the heart rate and affect the diaphragm. I didn't have that, but sometimes it does need medication and immunotherapy. But I had to fly to Jordan to be with my family for 3 months because I needed 24-hour support. I could not even scratch my nose. And I had neurophysical therapy there, and I'm fine now. And I'm really, really, really grateful every single day. But that was a major trauma, and that can really expand your capacity of resolving your own shit, because sometimes you just can't, and it's the same with money, especially if you've had a tumultuous relationship with money or tumultuous relationship with self-worth. That's when it's impossible to resolve it on your own.
So anyone listening, you may have a clear sense of like, oh, this is starting to click for me, and maybe it's not, and that's okay too. I feel like this is all stuff, it's not the first time I've heard this, but I feel like the more I consume it, the more I start to get it. And I always say there's a big difference between knowing and getting.
Yeah.
And you could say understanding, but like even understanding, I think, is like when you get it, and it only happens when you see it for yourself. So I'm wondering, is there an exercise or something we could walk someone through maybe that will get them to go from understanding conceptually, knowing what we're talking about, to like, oh, I get it. I'm curious.
Okay. So whatever money bad, quote unquote, bad habit you have right now, just reframe it as not that I am bad with money, or I am an emotional spender, or I avoid money. Frame it as I am, just say your name, and there is a part of me that avoids money. There's a part of me that is an overspender. There's a part of me that is bad with money, whatever it is. So first of all, when we unblend from that part, that is the first step of, they call it unblending or unmerging. That is the first step of saying there's a part of me. You look at that part, you're no longer immersed in that part. That is then when you start stepping into that self-sage energy of like, oh, this is me. And there's a part of me that's doing that. And then knowing that part, no matter how much it's sabotaging you, no matter what bad habits it's causing, knowing that it has a positive intent. Okay, that is the first thing. So the first thing is, I'll walk you through my root healing method, ROOT. So the first is to recognize, you look at yourself, you're doing something, you recognize that there's a part of you that's doing it. That's the first and most important step.
And then I don't want to diminish or minimize the impact of that part alone. It's
so important.
It might seem like, okay, I know, now what? Slow down. Taking the time to recognize that I'm not bad with money. There's a part of me that believes it's bad with money. I often say to people, if people say like, oh, I'm bad with money, or I'm bad at marketing, or whatever it is, I'm like, okay, so if I were to cut you open and like look inside you, I'd find the thing that says this person's bad with money or marketing, right? Because you are. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, well then is it true? Or is it simply a made up belief that has been running the show? A
protective belief, right? It's a protective belief.
I would say all of our beliefs are in some way.
Of course, they're home.
Designed to. And so
comfort.
the hard part about challenging beliefs or moving into or transformation is that because they're all designed to protect us, anything you do, whether it's recognizing and becoming aware, starts to feel like a threat, like something can kill you. And even acknowledging that, like, oh, okay, it feels weird for me to do this. You might even poo-poo this or say like, that's bullshit, in an attempt to protect yourself.
That's another
from
part.
Threatening something that, right, that's another part.
That's
protect
another
yourself
part.
From having to do the work, which might feel uncomfortable, might feel threatening, and really you're not in danger of dying, but your ego is in danger of being destroyed and rebuilt.
sometimes in a session with a client, I would work with the part that is poo-pooing the whole concept of IFS. And that holds a lot of information. You know,
does.
so the recognizing is sometimes enough. Like when you're on the go, when you recognize that there's a part of you that's doing it, that sometimes is enough. It's just, it resolves itself.
I think that's 50% of the work.
I would say that's 50% of the work. Like if I'm on my app and I'm buying something I don't need, I'm like, okay, there's a part of me that wants to buy this thing that makes it feel like if I don't buy it, I will die, even though it is not urgent at all. There's a part of me that wants that, meaning there's a part of me that's not feeling safe. All of a sudden, it loses its appeal. I'm like, okay, that's it.
Yeah. I'm going to get right back to this podcast, but just a quick marketing tip that most tattooers don't know is studies have shown that at any given time, roughly 3 to 5% of your Instagram followers are ready to buy from you right now, and another 20% would likely buy from you in the next 6 months. So if you're a tattoo artist with over 1,000 followers on Instagram, you're probably sitting on a ton of potential clients that you're just not tapping into. So I want to show you a repeatable process for gaining more followers and turning them into clients quickly, often within 24 hours. If that sounds interesting to you, just hit the link in the caption below, schedule a one-on-one marketing strategy session, and as soon as you book it, I will immediately send you a pre-session assignment to do. You can start doing this today to book more tattoos before your strategy session. Now, I do charge a small fee for this, and I'm going to give you my 10x guarantee. You might be wondering, what the fuck is that, Ryan? So basically, if you don't feel like this assignment and the one-on-one session was worth 10 times what you paid for it, I will give you a full refund. No questions asked. You have nothing to lose. I know as soon as you do this assignment alone, you're going to know that it was worth 10 times what you paid for it. I've already had hundreds of tattooers sign up and tell me that. So if for any reason you are not satisfied, I'm happy to refund you. Now, if you're not willing to step outside your comfort zone when it comes to social media marketing, this is probably not for you. But if you're tired of struggling on social media and you want a repeatable way to attract new clients during any season, then hit that link below, get all the details, and schedule a marketing strategy session. All right, back to the podcast. So recognize,
and then observe what that part is doing, observing from that seat of self, from that part of you that's like, okay, I am a sage, I am a wise person, and I'm looking at that person, observing it with compassion of like, oh, this is a part that's not feeling okay. The next O, which is part of the root healing method, is opening the emotional door. So it starts really slowly, but we need to get that part to speak. We need to get that part to actually say what it is, what is going on. Like, what's that part's story? How old is that part? Is it male?
I feel like
is it
this
female?
is like the hardest
part. Is it a
part.
thing? Yeah. That is when you probably need people
there's observe,
to help. Yeah.
There's opening. And now the only reason, and this isn't like you need to hire me or anyone else, but the only reason I recommend working with someone, anyone, could be a mentor, could be a friend, a parent figure, whoever you feel safe around, is because my internal system, one of my favorite things I ever heard in an AA meeting a million years ago, this guy, thick Brooklyn accent, he said, I got a 2-pot business that runs in my brain. One pot produces the bullshit, and then the other pot buys it. And I was like, that's so genius, because internally, I will sell myself my own bullshit, and it blinds me from just being with the very thing that I need to recognize and acknowledge or observe. It blinds me to it. That's why I call you. Because you will call me out on my bullshit. When I was sick,
that's when I was sick. I had the
call you out
belief
your
that I'm
bullshit
going to
all the
die.
time. You're trying to convince me that you're weak and incapable and you're going to die. And I'm like, you can't convince me of that.
Actually,
you expect me to believe this bullshit? You fucking got
exactly
your mind.
Right, you know?
Would you lose your fucking mind too? Like,
I seriously believe that was the end of my life, and I needed you. I needed my physical therapist. I needed my neurologist. I needed all my people to reassure me. As soon as I started believing that I'm going to get better, I leaps and bounds in physical therapy. Leaps and bounds. So the last part is thanking. So T stands for thank. You need to thank the part. The most important thing, and the reason why this all happens is because that part feels unwelcome or underappreciated. We thank the part, not because it's sabotaging you, but because it's doing its best, the best of its knowledge to protect you. So we
really
thank that part.
It logically, it knows, that part of you knows that it is acting in your best interest to it.
Yes. And we know that, regardless of what it looks like.
But we might think, well, why don't want to keep buying? Why is buying bullshit in my investment? But you have to look at it from the perspective of the part.
Yeah.
And then when you can,
that's why we opened that emotional door.
And this goes the same for human beings too.
Of course,
like we're all parts. If you're trying to tell me something and I don't fully agree or I see it differently, if I can acknowledge what you're saying and actually say, you know what, like I actually really appreciate you.
Give me your perspective. What's your story? Where did that come from? Yeah.
Right. Then whatever I say next, you can really hear me because I've thanked you and acknowledged you. The same thing goes for your internal parts as well. And so that's why we have to thank it. Yeah.
And it boils down to one word, which is safety. So the whole idea is we need to create an internal sense of safety between your parts. Just as a relationship between two people will only thrive when two people feel safe with each other, that is exactly what's going to happen internally. When those parts start feeling safe and safe enough to trust that sage self energy, that is when the quote unquote sabotage is going to stop. That is when these bad money habits are just going to go away. I've had someone that paid off $70,000 worth of debt and saved 30 grand within like 2 years, maybe more. Yeah, about 2 years from using the system. It really works.
But that all seems really hard. Couldn't I just go make more money?
Yes, of course. But if you layer it on top of parts that are already financially dysregulated, all you're going to get is more spending or more of that bad habit.
Isn't there just an amount of money that I could make that the parts won't matter anymore?
No. Because they're going to show up in something else.
That sounds nice, Nadine. I'm going to go just try to figure out how to make more money and not look under the hood and look at the foundation of the building. I'm just going to build a giant building on top of that foundation.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm going to wonder why it keeps falling down. I'm just going to do that for another 10 years. I'll get back to you and let you know how it goes.
It's all good. There's a part of you that wants to do that, and that's fine.
There is a part of me that wants to do that. Oh my God, I don't want to fucking sit here and look at this fucking bullshit.
All parts are welcome. Even that part.
And I think if I could add anything to the root system, which is it's beautiful, and I always want to add like some humor, some playfulness. Root playful. I don't know.
Broop.
Am I gonna proots?
Poop.
Proots. I just the topic of money is it can be so heavy. It can be so serious. It can be so laden with all these layers and expectations. And I really try to invite in the energy of playfulness, the goofball.
Always,
like you said. It's like this reminder. It's like this tether because you can get into it and you can actually. I'm sure some people actually revert back. They could get worse even. Like I from doing this work, I'm sure it can be. Sometimes it gets harder before it gets better. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Definitely, with everything. Like with everything. Healing, I'm going to call it healing journey. Every healing journey, it gets harder before it gets better. And, having had that infection, I actually was dealing with my nervous system in a day-to-day life situation. Yeah. It wasn't just like when we talk about the nervous system emotionally, it kind of feels like this concept. But when I actually was dealing with a nervous system infection,
right,
I actually was able to put to use everything I knew from somatic experiencing and work with my nervous system to create recovery. But like when you work with it, it's fascinating, but it also likes slow. And as much as that drives us nuts, your nervous system likes slow.
Slow is fast and fast is smooth.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's so much. You know, I follow some weird Instagram pages. I watch all kinds of weird podcasts and stuff
weird.
about
You're fucking weird.
about quantum leaping and all this stuff. And I'm drawn to it, but there's a part of me that also sees through, like, there's a lot of bullshit out there about it. And they're like, you can quantum leap into the version of yourself that makes $1 million a week from now. And like,
you don't want to do that. It actually hurts to do that.
Right. I was going to so like, I theoretically believe that is possible. Yes. And that is a fuck ton of pain to go through in 1 week to be able to do that. And at the same time, it could also, you could never do that, right? It could take you 10, 20 years to feel financially safe. But what you can accomplish in 1 to 2 years could be lifetimes of work. And it actually is really fast. It is quantum leaping into a version of yourself. And yeah, sure, it could happen in a week. But if you become the version of yourself that's debt-free in 2 years, most people live with debt for their entire lives. Most people in the United States cannot bear a $1,000 emergency expense without having to go into more debt. This is the norm, and everyone's chasing, how do I make more money? How do I do this? And they will continue. We've been doing that for a long time. It hasn't actually worked out that well. If we can listen to this type of stuff, and this is why I've been so fascinated with it, and I love talking about it with you, because I've not only, yes, side effect, been able to make more money and grow a business.
That's a side effect.
People.
It's true.
That's a side effect. I have felt a level of peace even when things are not going the way I want them to. Even when I fly out and spend all this money to go to another state and show up and one person's there. Like, that could have been like terribly embarrassing. Oh my God. I could have been like, oh, I'm not going to lead this. I led the fucking seminar. There were 2 other people that I'd already worked with there, and they were like totally there for support, and I love them for it. But it didn't tear me apart. I was like, all right, did I do the thing I said I would do? Did I show up? Did I risk and take a chance to work towards something I really want? Yeah, I did. And, you know, I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And that was it. And
that's nervous system capacity. Honestly, like that's that capacity that we keep building. If you want to quantum leap, you cannot quantum leap without building capacity in your nervous system, because it's just you're gonna be building that building on a shaky, sandy foundation, and no one wants to do that.
We like to think that, you know, we generally think of ourselves, our consciousness as located in our brain. And it's not.
It's not.
It's
actually in your body.
It's in your body and extends outside your body.
American body.
Your body.
Your body. It's in your body.
Like, your nervous system is running. This is actually
you said it more than me.
I said it more than you. You're drunk on iced tea or whatever you're taking shots of. This isn't really running the show. It thinks it's running the show. This nervous system is dictating, and the more educated, the more aware, the more we can observe, the more this and this are working together rather than just constantly working against each other, trying to get somewhere. And it's like treading water. You're doing all this work, you're exerting all this energy, and you feel like you've barely gotten anywhere. It's because this and this aren't working together.
They're not in the same. Like, your nervous system wants one thing, your brain wants something else, and that's when the word sabotage happens. You know, your brain wants you to go and post on Instagram 7 million times a day and fuck it, I don't care about rejection. And your body's like, remember that time in high school when you got bullied? No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. I got bullied a lot as a kid.
Me too.
I mean,
Me too.
I was a weird, awkward, asthmatic kid. I was very sensitive.
Oh,
I was very
I would have protected you in the playground, Ryan.
I had a lot of friends, but you know where it was? It was when I went to Hebrew school. I had to go to a different school, and all the kids from the rich private school also went to that Hebrew school, and I went to the public school. And I did not fit in with them. That's where I got the most. And I was always I was a slower kid. I wasn't good at sports. I played sports. I wasn't good at them. And so it was all those experiences. In some ways, were crippling. in other ways, I'm so grateful for my sensitivity, for having gone through those, because it actually taught me it taught me that I can't be invalidated by other people. I am the only validation I need. And honestly, I can't even invalidate or validate myself. Like I no longer seek the validation. I know I'm making content all the time. You might think, oh, Ryan's just an attention-starved,
attention slut.
Maniac, attention slut. It's just fun. It's just play. Like if I wasn't recording this with you, you and I would just be on the phone having the same fucking conversation essentially. And we're like, why don't we just record it and share it with people? Maybe someone out there will dig it. Maybe they won't. I don't fucking know. Maybe we'll get nasty comments. Who fucking cares? Like, we're just living our lives, and there's a camera, and we're having fun. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I hope people, get some relief from knowing that you're not the bad habits.
Yeah.
Parts of you are responsible for the bad habits, but they have good intention.
And all I would expect after this episode for anyone listening is that there's maybe a sliver of light where you see something, you see an opportunity, you see a possibility for yourself where maybe before that didn't occur. It wasn't there. And go towards the light. Keep going. It's that's what I've been on. I've really trained my nervous system to lean into that cringy, awkward.
You're just a nervous system slut. You
I'm a nervous system slut. That's really.
Welcome to the club.
Can we create like a private community or a public community?
Nervous
system slut. I fucking love it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, next episode. Welcome back to the Nervous System Sluts. Where can people find all your content and stuff?
The Unfuck Your Money podcast,
yes.
And my Instagram is @Nadine Zumot, which is just my name, and also Inside the Artful Dollar.
Inside the Artful Dollar, yeah.
Inside the Artful Dollar, the Artful Marketer. This month we're going to be talking about our procrastinating avoider parts. So yeah.
Oh, I don't think people really know anything about that. That's not a real thing.
Nah.
That's bullshit. Thank you so much, Nadine. It's always a joy getting a chat, and I hope that this helps someone. Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time on the Artful Dollar.
Ciao.
All right, if you found this episode helpful, one of the best ways for you to help other artists is to share this episode. Leave a review and subscribe. It helps other people find my channel, and you never know what a difference it might make for someone else. Plus, I will forever be grateful for your support, so I just want to say thank you and have a great rest of your day.